The news media is changing, primarily because people have changed where and how they look for news and information to make sense of the world. Daily newspapers and network news programs are on the decline. Social media platforms continue to grow in both audience and engagement. That's created challenges. First and foremost, an alarming amount of disinformation competes for the Internet's eyes and ears. But there are opportunities for truth-telling as well. I'm David Hunt. Join me as I explore some of the challenges and choices confronting the news industry, and meet one reporter who's harnessing the power of social media to tell the stories of LGBTQ people around the world. A new style of reporting at an organization whose very name is synonymous with traditional journalism. In a YouTube video produced a few months ago, Enrique Anarte sits in the backseat of a van, surveying the desert landscape along a lonely stretch of highway leading to Walvis Bay. The city is home to Namibia's only natural deep-water harbor and about 100,000 residents, many of whom work in the port and fishing industries. Anarte is a correspondent at Context, the Thomson Reuters Foundation's journalism platform, and Openly, its LGBTQ news site. He traveled to the west coast of Africa to document the experiences of one of the area's residents, a transgender woman named Ruanne, a sex worker taunted when she sought care at a local hospital. In the video, Anarte picks up the story.
At 18, she suffered an acid burn that led to her deciding she'd never return to a state hospital again.
The male nurse was like, "Why are you acting like a girl while you know you are a boy?" And it started to become like I'm on a comedy show because everybody's now laughing while the nurse is busy attending to me.
Ruan told us the nurse pointed to her genitals while bathing her as proof of her real gender, and then cut her hair under the auspices of treatment, even though the burn was on her arm.
It was just a horrifying experience. And that's when I decided I'm not going back to any state facility.
Right.
The reporting is personal and engaging, focusing on Ruanne's steely resolve and quiet dignity in the face of stigma and harassment, and presenting her experiences in the larger context of Africa's efforts to meet the medical needs of LGBTQ people, especially those at risk for HIV, at a time when financial aid from the United States is on the chopping block. The reporting is notable for other reasons. Anarte is based in Berlin, not Africa. He's a gay reporter whose beat is LGBTQ news. His coverage area, the entire world. His tools are social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, among others. I sat down with him, remotely of course, to discuss his career path, the new tools of an old trade, and the stories that have meant the most to him.
I am originally from the south of Spain, from Andalusia, but I have been living in Germany for 8 years already. I work as a journalist. I've actually always worked as a journalist. And for the past few years, I have had the privilege to specialize both in covering LGBTQ plus topics globally, but also to experiment with, let's say, new, a little bit more creative, social first, social video formats.
In fact, Anarte is what Thomson Reuters calls its first TikTok lead, its first reporter to seriously and consistently engage with a generally younger, queer, digital native audience on a platform that allows the journalist to build a following and put himself at the center of the coverage. In the past 3 years, he's reported on some of the most pressing issues facing the LGBTQ community, including far-right extremists targeting pride parades in Germany, efforts to ban queer online content in Indonesia, and the oppression of queer people in Russia. How did Anarte become one of the most visible queer journalists on social media? It started, as a lot of things did, with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Until the pandemic, I was purely a text journalist. We were all locked down at home. A lot of people were doing yoga. My boyfriend loves yoga, and I hate yoga. Nothing against the people, but I do not enjoy it. My brother's girlfriend reached out to me, and she was like, "There's this new app. People are doing lip syncs. We can try it out together." And I was like, "Why not? Like anything that's not yoga, I'll fully embrace it." And so we started like doing like using trending sounds to make funny videos on TikTok. And after a while, she got bored of it, but I started experimenting to make content that was funny and was like totally like amateur, like normal person, let's say, not professional at all, but that conveyed some sort of information or educational angle when it came to two main topics. One of them, European Union politics and LGBTQ plus rights, which was sort of like the thing I loved covering the most as a journalist. And that totally blew up. Like video started to go viral, and mostly not just it wasn't that much about virality, because I think virality is a double-edged sword. But it was about the reaction from the community online, and a kind of engagement and a relationship with the audience that I didn't have as someone writing articles, right? So that is when, after a few months doing that, I got a call to join the first TikTok team at DW, Deutsche Welle. And then 1 year after, I got a call from the Thomson Reuters Foundation, which is my current employer, to co-launch a TikTok channel for Openly, our global LGBTQ plus news brand. And eventually I joined TRF full time. So yeah, that's kind of like how it all came together.
I don't want to leave you with the impression that Anarte's career is just a hobby that went viral. He's a seasoned journalist with more than a decade of experience covering Spanish politics, international affairs, and the arts, with a focus on human rights and gender issues. And he has a master's degree in European Union Studies and an undergraduate degree in international relations and foreign languages. If his visibility, his personal brand, on TikTok brought him to the attention of the people at Thomson Reuters, his track record as a journalist and proficiency in 5 languages made him a smart hire.
It's very easy to say build your brand, but A, like, does everyone have the time to do that? And B, are all employers ready for their employees actually having a brand? Because having a brand means having a voice. And I think especially in the journalism industry, which has, at least formally, always been very conservative when it comes to formats, when it comes to how things should be done and have been done forever and ever. I think it can be tricky sometimes, and many employers, I think, are not ready and are only now catching up. It's hard to like really separate the person from the brand at some point. I understand why some people might have concerns about that, but I think it is a reality of journalism today, and it's either we embrace it or we, miss a train.
You're listening to This Way Out, the international LGBTQ radio magazine. I'm David Hunt, talking with journalist Enrique Anarte, a correspondent at Context, the Thomson Reuters Foundation's journalism platform, and Openly, its LGBTQ news site. Perhaps now would be a good time to give a bit of background on Anarte's employer. The Thomson Reuters Foundation is the charitable arm of Thomson Reuters, one of the largest and oldest news-gathering organizations in the world. Reuters is no stranger to technological innovation. At its founding in 1851, the news service used carrier pigeons and an emerging technology, the telegraph, to deliver the latest news to subscribers in London and beyond. The charitable foundation, established in 1983, offers a range of initiatives and services that defend media freedom, foster more inclusive economies, and promote human rights. It's the world's largest provider of pro bono legal support for independent media, and a source of independent news analysis on topics like climate change and LGBTQ rights. And even though it's embracing new tools for storytelling, it maintains rigorous editorial standards, something you can't always count on in today's chaotic media environment.
Everything is fact-checked. There's always we always reach out if a government is criticized. That position of that government is always there in a way or another. So we're not like giving up on our journalism standards. We're just like telling it in a new way. A big part of my journalism is totally traditional, and I also make funny TikToks that have the same editorial standards than the other formats.
I asked Anarte what tough question he would ask himself if he were conducting this interview.
What is our place in this new world where people are not just getting information from us, but from content creators, governments, companies, NGOs, that now anyone can go to TikTok or Instagram or any other platform. So how do we like show people that journalism is valuable, and how do we define this like role of our industry in this new world? Sorry, to give you such an open answer, the world has changed, and it's not a generational change. It's this isn't about Gen Z. It's about everyone being able to post content online. So what are we giving people as journalists that other people are not?
Finally, I wanted to know about the stories that meant the most to Anarte, not just as a reporter, but as a person, a queer person.
I think two of the stories that have marked me the most recently have been the two short documentaries that we published this year. One of them we filmed in Kenya, and it was about LGBTQ plus asylum seekers in Kenya. And they live in a legal limbo, and they live in conditions that I have been very lucky to never really see in my life, at least so closely. And when I was there, it was just eye-opening and obviously heartbreaking, but also just talk to them about their dreams and see the human ability to dream, even in those conditions. Another story that really touched me was we went to Namibia and we filmed this short documentary about the impact of the current US administration's global health cuts on Namibia's trans community. I actually didn't know until we started researching this story that for many trans people in Namibia, it is simply not possible to go to a state clinic or hospital because you're going to be laughed at, you're going to be discriminated against, you're going to like suffer even violence. In general, any, no matter which topic you're working on, to me, it all comes down to empathy and to like doing a kind of journalism that is empathetical to the people that are being covered. That yes, your journalistic values, which in our case at TRF, the Reuters values of integrity, independence, freedom of bias, you should always keep those values. And at the same time, I try to do a journalism that is empathetic towards the communities that are being covered.
I'd like to thank Enrique Anarte for sharing his insights as a journalist covering the LGBTQ community worldwide. Find him at context.news. For This Way Out, I'm David Hunt.